Welcome to today's explainer. Right off the bat, I just want you to take a deep breath. Like, really, just slow down for a second and step away from that relentless, hyperkinetic pace of your day. We live in this era where, let's be honest, speed is almost always mistaken for strategy, right? And the loudest voice, that's usually confused with the smartest one. But what if the actual secret to achieving massive global goals isn't about moving faster at all, but about grounding ourselves deeper? So let's just dive right into this. Today, we're exploring a profoundly quiet, yet deeply powerful piece of thought leadership. It's a February 2023 contemplation called Patience is Balanced, and it's a journey that's going to take us all the way from the high-stakes world of global strategy right down to the fundamental virtues of the human heart. Okay, patience eats the best meal. I want you to really let that sink in for a minute. In our modern world, we are totally obsessed with this drive-through mentality. I mean, if our coffee takes more than 2 minutes, we're literally checking our watches, right? We want the fastest results, the quickest returns, immediate satisfaction. But this one line, it kind of forces us to ask a pretty critical question. What exactly are we sacrificing by rushing? Think about it. If you pull the food out of the oven way too early, you just ruin the whole feast. This quiet, poetic little idea suggests that the absolute greatest rewards are actually reserved for those who are willing to just wait, to let things simmer, to really endure the process.
And honestly, that thought perfectly captures the mindset of the author behind these words. Let me introduce her to you. This is Oluyomi Oladavid. She is a brilliant Nigerian thought leader, and her work spans across technical insights, opinion articles, policy briefs, and these really deep contemplations. But what's so striking about her profile is how she centers her identity. She boldly states, "I am a Nigerian and I love people." In a world where leadership can honestly feel incredibly detached or just purely transactional, she actually leads with humanity. She cares deeply about people, and it's this fundamental love for humanity that lets her bring such a unique, grounded perspective to some seriously complex problems.
But hey, make no mistake here. Even though she writes poetry about patience, she operates on a massive, macro level. Her ambitions are literally staggering. She's deeply focused on global development and transformation. She thrives on generating high-level, innovative solutions, and she's out there actively working to influence policy and strategy. Her ultimate professional goal? Providing absolute clarity in a complex world. I mean, these are the kinds of metrics and objectives you'd expect to see in high-level boardrooms or international summits. She is definitely a woman aiming to move the needle on a global scale. But here is where we find the true brilliance of her approach. It really boils down to this. Strategy requires a foundation. You simply cannot build macro-level global transformation on a shaky internal foundation. It just doesn't work. Her massive, world-changing goals are fueled entirely by these deeply personal, micro-level virtues. She gets that before you can go out and influence global policy, you have to master your own character first. And that is exactly what her poem, Patience is Balanced, is all about. It's basically a blueprint for the internal architecture you need to sustain external success. Take a look at this. She writes, "Endurance gets the victor's crown." Now, this represents the hard, active fight. It's the grit, the sweat, the absolute refusal to quit when those policy negotiations get tough or when development goals seem totally unreachable. It is a very active virtue. But then, contrast that active grit with a quiet, reflective posture. Gratitude reads the best book. This is all about sitting still, appreciating exactly what you have, and absorbing wisdom. Oliomi is showing us that true balance, it requires both. You absolutely need the fierce endurance to win the crown, for sure. But you also need the quiet gratitude to actually sit down, reflect, and enjoy the wisdom of the journey. She continues weaving these human virtues together so beautifully. Grace occupies the best room. Think about what that actually means. Grace doesn't fight for space, right? It simply occupies the best of it just by its very nature. It's all about dignity, claiming your space with elegance rather than brute force. And then she pairs this with peace laces the best garment. I just love this imagery. Lacing a garment is that final touch, the thing that holds the whole shebang together and makes it both functional and beautiful. In her philosophy, peace isn't just some abstract concept. It's the preparation, it's the binding agent that literally holds the leader together. Which actually brings us to a fascinating shift in her contemplation. She asks us this really intriguing question. How does an ant turn a desert around? I mean, it sounds entirely impossible at first, right? A desert is vast, it's hostile, it's seemingly unchangeable. And an ant? It's microscopic by comparison. But I want you to let this idea sink in for a second. This is all about small, relentless, compounded persistence. An ant turns the desert around through dynamic resilience. It's that daily, gritty, inch-by-inch work of moving sand day after day until the landscape itself is fundamentally altered. It's exactly how she views the slow, steady work of global development. But then, she contrasts the tiny ant with a mighty tree. Oak wins the choice ground. The oak doesn't run around moving sand. No, the oak wins by dropping deep, immovable roots, its static resilience. It just stands its ground and claims its territory through sheer depth and time. Through the ant and the oak, she illustrates what resilient, balanced leadership truly looks like. It's knowing exactly when to relentlessly work the terrain and knowing when to just stand firm and grow deep roots. Now, if we want to understand how she sustains this incredible balance, this mix of fierce endurance, quiet gratitude, dynamic action, and deep rootedness, we have to look at her core. As she writes in her bio, "My Father God owns and rules the universe. He is the wheel within my wheels." This right here is the spiritual engine that drives her. Her faith is her anchor. It's what allows her to engage with the heavy, often exhausting work of generating global solutions without totally burning out. Knowing that there's a larger wheel guiding her own wheels gives her the ultimate clarity she strives to provide to others. It completely removes the anxiety of having to control the entire universe all by herself, freeing her up to do her vital work with genuine peace. And that brings us to the final and honestly perhaps the most surprising metaphor of her entire contemplation. Doormat welcomes the good news. Now, in our highly competitive society, literally nobody wants to be called a doormat. It's an insult. It means you're weak, that people just walk all over you. But only flips this entirely on its head. Think about it. A doormat is positioned at the threshold. It is the very first thing to greet anyone who arrives. By adopting the humble posture of a doormat, you are positioning yourself right at the entry point of blessing. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought today. In a world that is absolutely obsessed with dominating, with winning, and with being at the top, are we actually brave enough to cultivate the humble, grounded posture of a doormat so that we might be the first to truly welcome transformation and good news?